Hello, everybody. My name's James. Welcome to another Planet FPL Clash of the Correspondents. And we're going to spend the next 45 minutes or so talking magnificently about all the brilliant FPL assets at Sheffield United and Everton. Or maybe not. Let's introduce you first to our Sheffield United correspondent, Ben Thompson. How are you, Ben?
Good. Glad to be back.
Why did I call you Ben? It's Tommo, mate, isn't it?
Yeah.
And our Everton correspondent, Sean Norton's here. How are you, Sean?
I'm good, thanks, James.
Good man. Right, Tommo, nil points so far from the first three. Is that expected? Or are you disappointed with that?
A little bit of both. I think expected to where we were during the transfer window and losing Ndiaye and Burge and then taking time to replace them and not having anybody in pre-season and not playing together and all the injuries. But also disappointed because we had a chance to get some points. So, it's a bit more optimistic than it was after the Palace game.
The reason I said that as well, and this goes without saying, if you lose 3 games in a row, no football fan's going to be happy. But I think individually going into each one, you felt unprepared for Palace. I knew you probably thought you'd get beat at Forest for similar reasons. Yep. And then City speaks for itself, obviously.
Yeah.
So he almost came in with a real low bar each game individually, right?
Yeah, definitely. Low expectations. So
Sean, same, but obviously going to be clearly unhappy with that return so far, right?
Yeah, to say the least.
What's happened there though? Because everyone keeps throwing this stat about, which I'm sure you've seen, about the expected goals being 5 so far.
Yeah.
Different circumstance. You're sitting here on 6 points and quite happy, aren't you?
Yeah, but it was entirely predictable, wasn't it? I mean, I did say pre-season that we hadn't done enough business. Probably nothing was going to change. We'd struggle to score goals. We're prone to conceding. I tried to tell everyone not to get Pickford, but no one listened.
Well, I think some did, Sean.
The caveat. I mean, if I haven't got him, if I post my team and I haven't got him, that's kind of like, don't get him. but anyway, it was with Keane in the team. It was just we were just not going to keep clean sheets. It's just a bad combination. Panic spreads through the defense. So if we're going to concede a goal pretty much every game, we're going to struggle to win, aren't we? Especially with Dwight McNeil being out injured, Damari Gray not being picked because they're prioritising getting him out the club. Most of the players that we have sort of brought in are injured or not available, and it's like I could well see us struggling to score, and yeah, the games we had a lot of chances, obviously the 2 home games, but a lot of them they weren't great chances. But then when we did get them, they'd inevitably fall into Mope, and I've never seen a striker just hit the ball at the goalkeeper so often in my life. It's ridiculous. It's like he's aiming for the keeper.
I mean, yeah, I'm just thinking back in terms of chances, like the Morpay 1-1 against Fulham, the Decore 1-1 against Fulham, both in the first half. The disallowed goal, which probably should have counted.
That was, there's nothing wrong with that.
The Sar save from who had the header into the ground?
I think it was Doucouré, wasn't it? I haven't watched it again. I think it was Doucouré.
You don't want to, mate.
Because I was at the back of the main stand, and most people around us were like, "Oh, how's he missed?" And it was literally me and one other fella that like looked at each other, and we were like, "Oh my god, how did he save that? That is a world-class save." It just, at the time, like I say, I haven't watched it back, but it just seemed phenomenal the way the fact he saved it and kept it out.
So my point stands, right? You could have won both them games. I forget Villa.
Yeah,
you could have won both them games.
Yeah, if we score and then obviously we don't concede. Yeah, it's not it's not a massive stretch that we're on 6 points. But the fact is we're not, and it's like we've got to now. I mean, Fulham were good last season, weren't they? They won about 7 games away from home, so a lot of people were thinking it was a really good opportunity to win. But we don't historically normally win the first game anyway. But I think because Fulham were missing some key players, like Paulinho was missing, wasn't he? I think it was Mitrovic was on the bench, wasn't he? So it was like it was a real good opportunity to start the season strong. You know, they played really well. I think if that goal's given, which it should have been, then potentially we win the game, don't we? And then it takes a bit of the pressure off. But to have no points from those first three, it just feeds into what we were talking about, where we have to get points on the board early on, or the pressure's just going to get like really, really, high.
That said, though, I've said this week, Tommo, that I think this is a bigger game for you than it is for Everton. Do you think that's fair?
Agree. Yeah. Due to the fixtures, I think coming up, we've got a tough run of fixtures. And I think there's a bit of a high right now after the last two games. There's a lot of positives to take off, especially from the City game. And then we've got players through the door now. I think if we win on Saturday, it's going to be a big boost. And I think, we might shock a few coming up in these fixtures.
The problem is, if you don't win Saturday, you look at the fixtures afterwards: Tottenham away, Newcastle at home, West Ham away, Fulham away, Manchester United at home, Arsenal away. The neutral is going to look at that and go, I don't see them winning any of the first 10.
Yep. And he just comes straight back to COVID season, right? We didn't win first 10 games, and then the hole's too big to get out of.
So are we already in must-win stage for you? Is this must-win on Saturday?
It probably is.
Or is it must not lose?
I think it's win. I think I want to say it's a must win, but I just don't see many teams down there winning at the moment. That's the other thing. I think there's enough teams in a similar boat that are in trouble, and have similar fixtures, right? I mean, unless they play each other, I don't see where a lot of teams are getting points from.
Jordan, how do you see this at the weekend? Does it feel must win to you? Or if I offer you a point now, are you happy to take that?
Well, no, I mean, no. They've got to win. They have to win because we're on no points. Ordinarily, a point I would have took if we'd have won one of the first three games. Because we haven't. If we're sitting there on 1 point after 4 games, with Arsenal to come, then potentially we're on one out of 15, and that's shocking. With the fixtures coming, and the focus will just be on the manager then.
Is he under proper pressure?
Big time. No, I don't know. I mean, I don't think he is, but he I think he will be very quickly if we've only got 1 point or no points from the first. I mean, if Everton have got no points from 5 games and 15 available, that's he's gonna get the sack.
I don't feel like soon. I should be the one to say it's Brentford away in game week 6, which looks pretty tough as well.
Well, exactly. I think we've got Luton coming up, haven't we? And
that's the bit where I think it's probably more important for Sheffield United, because I've obviously gone through their fixtures up to game week 10, and you do look at anything sugar. The ones that look okay are probably the away games. So you struggle to see the points. Whereas for yourselves, that double header of Luton at home in 7 and Bournemouth at home in 8, you're very capable of putting the 6 points on the board there. It's difficult to see where Sheffield United can do that. And I'm sure Sheffield United will pick up points over that run. But it feels like there's a little bit of grace there for you with those fixtures against Luton and Bournemouth. There'll be huge pressure on them. But you'll go into those fixtures arguably as favourites.
Yeah, I just think he's got to. I just think he's got to beat Sheffield United. I think he's got to beat Sheffield United to be able to get through the Arsenal and the Brentford games. We normally have good games against Brentford. It's weird how sometimes you play teams, don't you, and the games always go like a similar way. And we're normally in it against Brentford and normally get points against them. So I could see us getting something against them. Arsenal's going to be difficult. Obviously, we beat them last season, but we're lightning strike twice. I'm not so sure. So if we don't say we get a point, and then we get beat by Arsenal, and then we only got a point, say, at Brentford, that is, there's going to be massive pressure.
It's worth saying, the 3 games you've had so far, you got 0 points in them last year. You lost at home to Fulham, you lost at home to Wolves last year.
Yeah.
You obviously lost at Villa as well. And as you already mentioned, you beat Arsenal and actually I think you took 4 points off Brentford last year. I'm pretty sure you drew there quite early in the season, then beat them in
We
Goodison
did, yeah.
in the winter
Yeah.
period.
Yeah.
So from corresponding fixtures, if we remove Sheffield United as a fixture, it was 4 points from the first 5. So I can see why that pressure's on despite the corresponding fixture of the first 3. Tom, I'm interested to know, if you beat them at the weekend and then Monday morning Sean Dyche has been sacked, what's your reaction to that?
Everton's going down.
See, that's what I think most people think, Sean. I think despite the fact it's obviously problematic, most are still sitting here going, I think they'd be better off with him.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I just think just think if he gets off to a shocking start, the fans, the way I know them, they'll be calling for blood. I mean, there's already, last night's game, the performance was horrendous, and there was, if you went on Twitter, there was loads of people, having a go at him, saying the manager keeps getting it wrong and he's a dinosaur, and all we're doing is he's actively telling the players these are Premier League players, and he's telling them to bang it forward. So it's like it's there because there's a lot of football. There's obviously a lot of educated football fans, but there's also a lot of football fans that just you want to go, you want to see the team win, and when you don't, they want blood. And I just think if we go 5 games and we haven't won any,
but will it not just turn the anger even more so back towards the board and upstairs, right?
No, because there's just a weird amount of the fans who just don't want to. They don't want to be vocal. They don't want to protest. They don't want to rock the boat. They're unhappy with how Everton are going and how the team's been performing over years, but they don't really want to do anything about it. They're more inclined to just argue amongst themselves. It's very strange. I mean, I saw Manchester United. They were protesting. There was about 5,000 of them protesting, and it's like you can win football matches, and you can be doing okay, and you can still protest that you want different owners or your club to be better than however it is. There's nothing wrong with it, but our fans there's this stupid thing where they look across the park and they see Liverpool, and it's like whatever they do, we can't do. So because they've always been good over the years, when standards aren't met, and they won't tolerate crap, so they'll force what they see as bad owners out the door. Evertonians don't want to do it because they'll say, oh, it's cop-out behaviour. We're not like that. Cop-out
but
behaviour.
It feels to the neutral that the protests have been pretty strong and still ongoing, Sean. That's how it feels to us on the outside, I think.
Oh, okay. It doesn't. I don't know. Sometimes it feels like, I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm so close to it that it's like I'm not sure about what goes on the outside and how other fans, how they view it and look at what's going on at the club. But I just know that internally amongst the fan base, there are lots of people who just, don't want to actually mobilise and do a great deal. I mean, fortunately, there's a good group of people who are very well organised and clearly the message has got out. But it is really worrying that, the people that Moshiri's talking to, now the MSP thing's gone dead, to try to, he definitely just wants, somebody to give him money, and he doesn't really care where it comes from. And it's pretty sad that we've got to rely on the government stepping in potentially to stop certain people from investing in the club.
Yeah, absolutely right. Is Heckingbottom under any pressure, Tommo? It doesn't feel like he is, but is it similar?
No.
Could it be a similar scenario where you get beat by Everton, and realistically, if you're in the middle of the season, we go Palace at home, Everton at home, Forest away, and it's no points, you're under pressure from that sort of group of fixtures. And this is the problem you had, right? You weren't ready for the start of the season, and yet your best little period was now in terms of the fixtures.
Yeah.
So is there any point they look at it as well and go, well, this isn't working, and we change it? And I'm not trying to put the manager under pressure, by the way, because it doesn't feel like there's any pressure.
There's no pressure now, but it could get similar to the Wilder, when we sat here, we never would thought Wilder were going to get sacked. But
no.
When you lose 10 games, or when you don't win in 10 games or 12 games in the Premier League, it gets toxic, right? And I think the fan base is split right now with the Prince on the ownership. Half the people like him, half don't, and there's some blame there that we didn't move quick enough, we didn't get the funds, and obviously, and and Burge going like very unprepared, like you said. And I feel like if we could have had those first 2 games back again now, coming up next 2 weeks, I think we win one and probably get a point out of the other. I think we get 3 or 4 points.
We are recording at 7:30 on Thursday night, for those who are listening on Friday morning or a little bit later. We've got a transfer window shutting in just over 24 hours from time of recording. Are you expecting anything more, Tommo?
We got Luke Thompson today, so that's his left wing back. McAtee is a big one. So I think all our eggs in the basket for McAtee. I believe we've got option 2. I don't know who that is, but apparently there's option 2. But I'm very confident that we're going to get McAtee.
I think that's still likely, considering we assume Palmer's going to Chelsea at the time of recording, and we think Doyle was going to Wolves as well.
Yeah. Apparently he's going out on loan from what I've seen from reports, but I am very confident he's going to go. If he does go out on loan, I'm confident he's going to come to us.
Okay, so if you don't get him, you're probably looking at a loan for someone else. Is that profile of kind of attacking midfield player that you're looking for then?
Yeah, Heckingbottom said today it's going to be loans only. It's going to be attacking or forwards, attacking mids or forwards. So.
Okay. Sean, you expecting more?
I'm open for more. I don't know whether expecting is the right word. I feel like we've been in this position every season where we get to deadline day and we need a fair old bit and we don't ever do enough. It'd be pretty poor if we don't fill the last 2 loan spots that we've got available to us. So I'd like to think at minimum we'll do that, but don't know.
What's required most then under that circumstance? What we're talking about here, centre back. Now at this stage with Beto in.
Well, yeah, I think you need. Obviously, Bramthwaite's in now, so I think he'll get a run. But it's going to be very, you can't put all the eggs in his basket, because even if he does really well and it goes positively, if he gets injured, or if Tarkowski, I know he doesn't often get injured, Tarkowski, but if he did, we can't afford Godfrey or Keane coming in. They're just nowhere near good enough. So I hope we need a centre back. We need someone to come in. I'm not particularly happy with the full backs, but I don't think they're going to do anything there. I think we're going to have to go with what we've got. Got to get a right winger, I'd imagine. I believe Harrison. I was quite surprised because I thought Harrison was just a left-sided player, but
he can play that side.
I saw some stats where he can play on the right. So it wouldn't surprise me if Harrison's actually been bought for that reason, to actually play on the right, McNeil on the left, and then they'll interchange, because we know we've seen Dyche quite likes McNeil to swap flanks sometimes, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So I'd imagine that's probably the thinking there. And then you've got Dan Juma, who can also go both ways, can't he? So I don't know whether he's going to provide the backup for those positions, but I'd like to think one more winger to come in with Damari Gray going. There's obviously talk that Fulham are going to sign a Wobie. That's getting close to being done for around about 15 million, it seems. So I'm interested in whether that means he's just going to go to 4-4-2, because he hasn't had the strikers to do it previously. But now he's getting there, because you've got Beto, Calvert-Lewin's back fit, he's got Chimiti, or will he just use Doucouré like he has been, just playing in like a 10 role, but really pushing on to try to support. So I think a right winger, and then someone in central midfield to cover a
Ironically, once they're all fit, you've got Beto added to Calvert-Lewin, McNeil's obviously injured, Harrison's injured. Suddenly you put them 3 back in the team. And it's different, isn't it?
Well, McNeil might make the bench. He was saying in the conference, in his press conference, he might be named on the bench. And Harrison, he said, should come back after the international break. And those 2 will be, they'll be a big boost. And if Beto can, it's hard to gauge in it. I can't say I've watched a lot of Udinese, and you can't judge it against Doncaster. but he did look like a lad who's he's an experienced player in that position, and he's obviously big and strong, but mobile with it.
Yeah.
So I think I do think he's gonna be a handful at the very least. And we do play a lot better when we've got that focal point. You think of that game against Brighton, obviously, Calvert-Lewin had not long come back in a team, and it just transformed everything. Suddenly we looked a lot lively, we looked threatening to
his
counter.
performance at Leicester as well, in the 2-2 as well.
Yeah, it was very, very, very good. So it will make a big difference, hopefully. Just worry about, like I said, just worry about us defensively. Hopefully, Branthwaite can show he's better than Michael Keane. But Ashley Young at left back, and I'm pretty sure Patterson won't play against Sheffield United. I think James Garner will probably play there.
Oh, really? Right back?
Yeah. I think Patterson. I think I think he'll drop him.
He's not been good enough for.
Yeah, he hooked him at half time. And the team, he made 3 changes at half time. I'm trying to think of the other one was. But Ashley Young come on, Beto come on, O'Garner come on, as in Idrissa Gana Gueye. And we were noticeably better immediately. I think Patterson's just, the quality isn't there with him. He's he's getting caught sometimes defensively, but also when he's got the ball, he's just giving it away. He's just hitting it. He's either over hitting it down the flank, or he's over crossing it, or he just hits it out. And sometimes he's not communicating with players, and a player will make a run and he'll pass it at the wrong time, so it goes out of play and it looks amateurish. So I wouldn't be surprised if James Garner plays right back against Sheffield United.
So, Sean, are we expecting Onana to stay now then?
Yeah, I think he'll stay, yeah. Right.
He's the one real sellable asset, it feels like.
Yeah, I think he'll go in the summer next season.
Okay.
Almost definitely. A lot of these deals that they're doing are like minimal down payments and things. I believe the Beto one, they're not paying anything until next
year. So that's
year.
Probably part why it's happened.
Yeah. So I think that's what they'll do. Yeah.
You expecting anyone else to go? I suppose people on the fringes, maybe, but that'll be about it.
Yeah. Like there's talk. I think now Beto's come in. People are talking about Mopé, but I think Mopé will stay. Sadly,
who's going to take him?
Well, exactly. I think it'll be Tom Cannon. There's talk of him moving on. So I think if anyone's going to go, it's more likely going to be Tom. I don't think anyone else. Maybe like this is the thing what I said about like central midfielder. Obviously if Iwobi goes, we need someone. But also I can't imagine Gomez to still be there when the deadline shuts. I'd imagine he'd probably go off on a loan somewhere for the last year of his contract. So we're just lighter bodies in there. There's not a lot of options there at all. Again, even just to cover injuries. I mean, I think we need people anyway because I'm not overly thrilled with Idrissa Gana Gueye, or Doucouré for that matter. But from a numbers point of view, Tom Davies is obviously now at Sheffield United. So we are light in the middle of the park.
Come on to Davies in a second. So are you expecting anyone to go? Or do you feel like you've already had your 2 best players pulled off you, I suppose?
Maybe Sula out on loan. No,
that's going to scare a few people.
It depends on Bruce's fitness, so probably not. And then if we get 1 or 2 in up front, then we got a lot. Like you said, we got a lot of bodies up there. Whether they all fit is another question.
Well, yeah, we kind of identified that as a problem in pre-season. Just felt like he was telling me this player was injured, this player was injured, this player was injured. Tom Davies signed. Are you expecting him to challenge for a position within the team?
No, I think he's just going to be someone off the bench. He didn't play last night. He wasn't even in the squad, if I remember right.
I think he's injured, isn't he? I think.
Yeah, so never all injured.
Obviously, yeah, of course, yeah.
Excited up. I think we're up to 10 or 11 now. So
what happened to him, Sean? Did it go badly wrong for him, or?
Yeah, he never quite lived up to the billing, did he? When Carlo Ancelotti come in, Carlo sort of used him to sit in front of the back four, and he seems to have found a little niche for him because as I've said to you over the years, Carlo realised that we couldn't really just be, all out attack inside, with the likes of Michael Keane at the back. So he sort of sat deep, tried to nick games, and Tom used to come in and play whenever, like Alan was fairly injury prone, and Tom Davis would come in and do the same job as him, just sort of sitting and patrolling, and he done really well. Played in some big wins, and I thought, oh yeah, Carlo's found a little slot for him here, and he might kick on now. But it just never happened. When Carlo went, system changed, loads of crap managers come in, and he got injuries, went back to being a backup player, and then when he gets a chance, you need to try to grab it, and invariably he didn't. And yeah, it's a bit. He's still only about 25, I think.
Yeah.
But I just don't see it quite happening for him. He just doesn't seem to. Just doesn't seem to be able to grab a role and make it, fully his own, and then convince with like sort of 7 out of 10 performances most of the time.
It's interesting that we'd obviously identified for yourselves, Tommo, that you had a bit of a problem sort of holding midfield going into the season, where Doyle had been used to kind of cover off the end of last season because it wasn't working with Norwood in that position. So what's happening there now? Is it Norwood is playing as the deep line, or is it just Vinicius Souza? Is he going to be a protector in there? What is he?
Yeah, Souza's a protector. I feel like the PM was playing both of them, holding back right now, sitting there and laying kind of hammer in front, and it allows Norwood to do what Norwood needs to do. He doesn't need to be as defensive because we all know his legs are gone, but he's still good on the ball. And actually, Norwood played really well the weekend against City. Got a lot of blocks in. They did well, and Souza's a player. And I think he could be the difference for us. I think he's kind of Paulinho, with Fulham kind of player, who is going to be key for us staying up. Very impressed so far. He only played 60 minutes against Forest, and I think he got to like 75, or he started cramping up. So got to get his fitness up. He played, but he didn't play last night. So
yeah, and in fairness as well, Paul Heckingbottom said he was basically going to need to get fitness, unfortunately, by playing games because of desperation to stick him in the team. And I know he certainly impressed a few in his hour against Forest actually as well. It's a good technical player. I've heard that Paulinho comparison as well, actually. If he gets near to that level, he might be going to Bayern Munich in a couple of years. It's always dangerous me saying these things before they've actually happened. Tell us about Hamer, or is it Hammer for a start? But what is he? Tommy doesn't know. He's shaking his head.
Hamer. I would say Hamer. That's what I've heard, but I don't know, because I've heard it both ways on commentary. So I don't know. Still don't know.
Just the creativity in the team is everything going to go through him now?
Yeah. I really like him. I think he's a good player. I think we're very lucky to have got him. I think he could play definitely higher up with some of the better teams in the league. And his dead balls, his crossing, and his free kicks are going to be a real weapon for us because he whips it in and they're dangerous. So I feel like that's going to be a real asset for us. We've got some big bodies in there now, especially McBurney getting back as well. I think we're going to cause some problems from set pieces. And we were one of the best, high scoring teams in the championship last year from set pieces already. And so I'm really, really like him. I think he's a really, really good player.
Have you stuck him in your FPL team yet?
Not yet.
Have you stuck Cameron Archer in yet?
I had him from the start.
We did think this was going to happen before the season even started, didn't we? Why has it taken so long, mate?
It's a very complicated deal, I think, similar to the Ramsey deal with Burnley. It's kind of weird. I think it was 18.5 million was reported, but if we get relegated, Villa buy him back for the same price automatically.
Oh, wow. So,
I
didn't realise that. I knew there was a buyback clause.
So if we get relegated, it gets bought back for the same price. I think we lose a little bit on fees, on loan fees, but basically for 18.5 million. But if we stay up, then they have to pay a set amount, which I think is either 40 or 50. I don't know. I've heard both. So it's a very complicated deal. So you have to agree wages and contract with us, but also with Villa. So I think.
Sorry, to clarify, are you saying the fee could rise to 40 million if you stay up? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So it's a buyback clause. So if they want to buy him back if we stay up, it's 40
Oh, I
million.
see. If Villa wants
But
to
if we
buy him
get-
back, it's more expensive if you stay up. Sorry, I thought you were saying the price doubles for you if you stay up, basically.
No. If we
I
stay
see.
up, he automatically goes back. If we get relegated, sorry, he automatically goes back for the same price he bought for. Just like a loan back.
I mean,
basically
it's
like a loan.
it's not that confusing, Tommy. You just explain it to everyone in 60 seconds. So I don't know why it took 3 weeks, mate.
yeah. But
If it-
yeah, so that's. And I think the Ramsey deal took 2 or 3 weeks as well, right? 2 weeks after they agree with Burnley. So I think it's something similar. So yeah, I don't know if it's to do with FP financial stuff with Villa, but that's kind of deal. So, and we're pretty much.
Do you think you start Saturday?
Oh yeah, for sure.
For sure. You're not going to regret that, are you, Tommo?
No, Bernie and Archer.
Because there's a few, I think, understandably thinking, yeah, stick him in potentially. It was a few players have obviously got some tougher fixtures this week. 4.5 forward at home to Everton, thinking, can I get away with it this week? He played, 63 minutes against Lincoln on Wednesday night, I think. You think that's enough that he'll go straight into the team and start? And you're saying with McBurney as well. McBurney's not going to get through 90 minutes, is he? No chance.
No, he's already said that. I think he'll be 60. I could see Archer again, maybe 75 minutes, something around there. And then I can see as Sula and Traore coming on, depending on how it goes on, maybe. That's kind of what I'm thinking is going to happen. McBurney made a big difference on Saturday when he came on for the last 20 minutes. Really helped us get up the field and cause some problems.
So I presume those sitting there with a Shula with the same dilemma. Oh, shall I start him against Everton? Even though he started every game so far, you don't do that, basically, yeah?
I wouldn't start him, though.
Okay. What do you think of Archer? How hopeful are Blades fans? Because you know what the obvious comparison is here, don't you? It's like we've been here before with Ryan Brewster.
Yeah. So I feel like as the deal, it took so long for the deal, he's become more and more important, and there's bigger, people are really thinking he's going to keep us up, which, I'm more hesitant because obviously I've seen the Brewster, but I think Archer is a better chance than Brewster, personally. I watched him quite a bit last season. He was very good in the Championship last season for Borough. He came to us and he looked really good. So, I've seen a lot of people comparison to kind of like a Defoe kind of type player. He seems very clinical when he gets his chances. So I think him and McBurney make a good partnership. I think they're going to play well together.
That feels like one obvious comparison. But then before you bought Brewster, wasn't he at Swansea and did quite well? As well.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. But he can't keep fit. He just can't. Brewster just can't keep fit. So
I feel like when you bought Brewster, it almost felt a little bit from an outside, almost like a landmark moment for the club because you weren't the only ones interested. He'd obviously been flying for the England youth teams and stuff, and it's like, wow, that's a real shift in attitude for Sheffield United and a real statement. And it's obviously, for whatever reason, it's obviously not worked out. And now it's obvious people are going to look at the same position, doing great for the England youth teams. Is he going to be able to do it? And even the path, like I said, doing well in the Championship. I mean, it's fair to say Archer probably scored more last year than Brewster did that year at Swansea. But it'd be the same questions. And obviously going into your system, which he won't be familiar with.
Yeah. It's a bit of a gamble, but like I said, it's kind of a learn. And that's one thing that the club's not going to do this year is get into the same spot we did last year when we're, delaying payments for Brewster and Burge and they can't pay them. So that's why the budget's been so small. They're only spending the money this year's budget, not future budget. So that's kind of why I think this Archer deal made a lot of sense for us. And, hopefully we stay up and keep him. And, worst comes to happen, we're not really losing money on him.
So if someone said to you now, Tom, I want to buy Archer for João Pedro, what are you saying?
I would do it.
Are you going to do it? Oh, you've already got him, haven't you? So you don't need to. So
him.
you starting him this week?
Yep.
You starting George Baldock as well?
Yep.
Sure, do you see these delusions of a madman? This is what football support does to you, mate. So Baldock, you think will start as well? There's no threat here with Bogle, no?
No, I mean, I think Bogle could end up playing left wing back possibly. I know Thomas has just come in, but Bogle has played left wing back a few times. But no, Baldock's been our key player, and defensively he's very good. I thought he did really well against Grealish, other than letting him get crossing for the goal, but he kept Grealish pretty quiet.
Interested to know, Tommo, who are you benching this week then? What other defenders have you got?
Stupinan and Gabriel. Gabriel still got him. So
are you going to play Baldock instead of a Stupinan?
Yes.
It's brave. Fixture-wise, it does make sense though. And to be honest, I'm smiling, but I've seen plenty of others thinking similar with the dilemma. And Everton's XG and haven't scored yet. Yeah, I can see the reason to think and do it. Is he definitely going to be your player when the game comes around though, mate?
Yeah.
There's been these AEK Athens links going around this week, which until about a quiz we did about a month ago, I didn't even realise that Baldock actually has played international football for Greece. But I wonder, AEK Athens didn't get through in the Champions League, and I wonder if it was dependent on that.
Possibly, but I just don't see Baldock going anywhere. We don't have enough backs as it is, so I can't see it happening.
Do you see him staying in longer term, Baldock? I know he was quite bullish about that in pre-season, but I hear enough voices that doubt it.
I mean, I can see Bogle coming on for the last 10, 15 minutes if we're losing, because he's got that attacking threat, obviously, scored the goal. But Baldock's key for us. He was arguably our best player second half of last season, and when he came back in, he's one of those characters that really gets stuck in and drives us forward, and he's a staple for us. I think he's definitely going to start. I would do something drastic, and Bogle had a really poor season last season, so and he's also injury prone. So I just don't see Baldock getting removed anytime soon.
Okay, fine. Sean, Joe Branthwaite, is he staying in the team, do we think now then?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, I wish we'd have had this information going into game week 1. Because I think we'd have been quite tempted to start with him potentially, wouldn't we? Probably doesn't look so good now that the Fulham and Wolves games have gone. But
yeah, no, I'm pretty sure I did. I'm pretty sure I did say that Keane would probably start, and then we'd probably lose a few games, and Branthwaite would be in because there'd be no one else. So it has gone according to how I thought it would.
When we recorded, I think he played 15 minutes, didn't he, with Tarkowski at Stoke?
Yeah.
And Keane had played 45 minutes, and Keane had played 45 minutes with Tarkowski at Stoke. And it was like, which one's it going to be? And it was like, we'll find out in the weekend against Sporting Lisbon. And Godfrey started.
Yeah.
It's helpful to absolutely nobody. Could you give, if someone was wildcarding now, Sean, and wanted to look at a 4.0 midfielder, defender, could you give any encouragement to that?
Yeah, I mean, I got on the Gusto bus because I was one of those people who wasn't watching Andy, and I had Gabriel. So I went to Gusto with the distinct plan to then potentially just put Branthwaite in, because I sort of thought, well, he'll play. Gusto won't. When James comes back, he's not going to play. So I could just go from Gusto to Branthwaite when James does come back, and I've got at least a playing defender. I mean, he'll be my third defender my third sub more than likely with our fixture run. But he's definitely somebody like to consider for that 4 million spot.
So James comes back in a couple of weeks, hypothetically. You're buying Branthwaite or you're buying Baldock?
Well, I've already got Baldock.
You look to go both.
Yeah, I'm going like pretty cheap at the back is my my plan. Yeah, I think you can do that. Because if they're playing, then you haven't got someone coming in that's unlikely to get you any points, which is obviously crap.
So to clarify here, are you tipping up an Everton player for FPL?
I wouldn't say tipping up. Just consider him. Consider him. He's in the mix with the 4 mils.
Beto's in at 6. Any consideration?
No,
He starts, doesn't he?
no,
He'll start Saturday, won't he? I think
he'll start. Yeah, well, he'll start Saturday, but it's too early, innit? You could start Saturday. You could have a stinker. We could get beat. Then Dom's fit, and he probably comes back in, and then Beto be on the bench. Alternatively, he could score 2 goals, win us the game. He's a bit of a hero, and they take the time with Dom, and Dom's on the bench. Dom comes on. So I think it's a bit early to, just need to see how it goes. By the time the Luton and the Bournemouth game comes round, he might be, you know what I mean? He might be an option.
Yeah, that could be an interesting
option
sort of
then.
2-week dive into something around. Perhaps something else hasn't got some good fixtures or
Two good home games.
The problem is you look at it now and you go, yeah, sure, Sheffield United away. But you got the likes of Vissa at similar price, who's got Bournemouth at home, which is also fine, and fixtures a bit better afterwards. Whereas yours obviously go straight into Arsenal and then Brentford away. Yeah, you want to see more, don't you? But I wonder that there'll definitely be teams who will sort of wild card around about game week 9, which you obviously have the Merseyside derby. Then you might think, Luton at home, Bournemouth at home, have a look. But then if Calvert-Lewin's fit, the same might apply to him, right? How unlucky is he with that injury, mate?
Oh,
I felt so sorry for him because he was getting a bit of stick as well, and I kind of understand why, because the fans in the ground wouldn't have known.
Yeah, exactly. They just saw him going off.
Yeah,
they just saw the sub warming up. Dom goes off. They don't know what it is. It was horrendous, wasn't it? He's putting his head where you want to see players do that, don't you? You want them to show full commitment, and he did. And then the bloody impact injury and the state of his face.
I don't even know how he carried on for so long. There was a moment I spoke about it on the pod. Villa had a goal kick, and the camera was behind Martins. You could see him; he was ready to press, and he was holding his face.
Yeah,
and you could see it ballooning.
Yeah, so. He's just so unlucky. Can't get a break at the minute, can he? You know what I mean? But he was saying his dad was having a bit of a
I saw that
pop
as well,
and stuff. But he was saying about how good he's feeling, and he does feel like it's the fittest he's been, which obviously made it worse that he was then going off the pitch and going to miss a few games. But
the irony is, like, I can see it further down the line where you're chasing a game, hypothetically you're losing, and you've got Calvert-Lewin and Beto up front.
Yeah,
and there'll be a handful.
Yeah.
Ironically.
Yeah. Well, Beto's I know it's a different league. It's hard to compare sometimes, but Beto's numbers are better than Dom's. Aerial battles and stuff. They are better than Dominic Calvert-Lewin's. So you'd like to think that kind of part of the game is transferable from league to league. But then, suppose he could be up against better centre halves, couldn't he? But I definitely think he's going to be a handful. And it'll definitely be something Sean Dyche will do if he doesn't. I think he might go 4-4-2 anyway. But if he doesn't, he definitely will when he's chasing the game. Definitely.
Yeah, I can see them two playing together at some point. Definitely. What would you say, Sean, to Jordan Pickford owners who are getting twitchy? And I can see them and I can hear them.
Well, I wouldn't have had him anyway. But now Bramthwaite's in. I just think the fixtures say it's a no-brainer for me. I just think you have Flecken. I put him in from the beginning. I think we just move him to Flecken. Whether I wouldn't move him this week.
That's the point, though, isn't it? And then you look ahead and you think, well, is this my big problem? Particularly again, if you're going to wild card in sort of game week 9 with those Luton Bournemouth fixtures, you mentioned that actually your record against Brentford's not too bad. You did keep a clean sheet against Arsenal last year, and you deserve to win that day. You just keep it, don't you? I think you keep it probably up to the end of game week 8, I think, and then reassess afterwards whether you're wildcarding or not. It then looks rough for quite a sustained period.
That's why I think if I did have him, I'd keep him. I mean, I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet at Sheffield United, so I'm contradicting myself here. But just because I think Sheffield United will score doesn't mean that they will. I'd keep him for this week. But then I'd move him on then.
Okay.
I'd give him one more week, regardless of what happens. Move him on after this, and I just think Flecken's a no-brainer.
No-brainer. Tom Med will be very happy to hear that. He's next on Clash of the Correspondents, by the way. Tommo, League One Wes. So I take it we're going with this. So good enough now, is he?
Yeah, but played really well.
He's done all right in the 3 games, actually, isn't he?
Yeah, none of them's been his fault.
Are we expecting Alston Trusty to come in at some point?
I expect him to, but Robinson's been our best defender. So, some people are blaming him for Haaland's goal. I was not blaming him for Haaland's goal. He's a giant and it was a great cross, but Robinson's good. And he's got that long throw, so that long throw is a bit of a weapon for us. Cause a few issues. I see Robinson's shirt for now. So
okay. And who do you think will play left wing back against Everton? You think they might shove Bogle out there? Is Luke Thomas ready, or?
I don't know if he's been playing, pre-season or for Leicester. I don't think he has. So not Larouche, I don't think. Unfortunately, I think he's a work in progress. And obviously, it was his mistake for the second goal. Should have just kicked it out or down the line or anything but fall over. So,
yeah, more experience. That's exactly what you do against a team like that under those circumstances. I get it.
Yeah. So especially after we just scored, it just be a big mistake. It's Kyle Walker, and we all know he's fast, and so no, it's going to be Thomas. I think Bogle might play there just for one game.
What teams, Tommo, do you think are going to be in danger this year to go down? How many do you think it's between?
I want to say 6. So it is Everton, Luton, Burnley, Wolves, 5, right? Remember somebody else? 5. I think it's 3 of the 5.
Not Forest?
No, I think they've got too much firepower, and looks like they're buying some good players at the end of the window, right? DD, I don't know if he went through an eye, but I just think their front line's too, it's going to score too many goals. So.
Not Bournemouth?
Yeah, haven't they spent 100 million? I mean, I don't really know.
I saw them about the 3rd highest spenders or something. I bet that will change by the end tomorrow.
Yeah. Potentially, I think they could be the next one up, and then Palace maybe, but I think Palace, we have and Elise just got too much. But I just think those 5 teams, I just don't see those 5 teams getting points from anybody other than those 5 teams right now.
Okay. Sean, is that how you see it as well? We're talking about 3 from 5 here.
Yeah. It's hard to see anyone else getting drawn into it, but we just had the same last season with Leicester, wouldn't we? We didn't see them getting into it. But
I think part solace for both of you at the moment would be probably the only one that we'd have expected to be down is probably surprised a little bit is Wolves, which is primarily because the victory obviously at the weekend, but also obviously their performance at Old Trafford in game week 1. Fulham, if Paulinho does go, might suddenly look significantly weaker. Burnley have obviously had a tough start, but are also on 0 points. Forest have only got the 1 win against yourselves, Tommo. Luton are obviously not off the mark yet. So no one's pulled away. Bournemouth's got 1 point so far, right? So I certainly don't think there's a fair chance one of you is going to be on 0 points at the end of the weekend. I certainly don't think it's over. A few people were suggesting that on my stream on Thursday. I think you can't say it's over after 4 games. Not at all.
Yeah.
In a word, Sean, do you think you stay up?
No.
Tommo, do you think they'll stay up?
No.
Do you think you'll stay up?
Yes.
Do you think they'll stay up, Sean?
No.
Who do you think's going with both of you then, Sean? I'm interested to know.
Luton.
Okay, fair enough. Guys, pleasure. Before we let you go, Tommo, correct score prediction for the Saturday lunchtime kickoff.
2-0 United.
Sean?
Oh, I think it'll be 2-1 Sheffield United.
Oh, Jesus, mate. Really?
Yeah.
I was just saying, but the fact you think you'll score, yeah?
Yeah, I just think because we've blanked 3 times in a row somehow.
You're due a goal.
Yeah.
Tommo, do you remember a game you had with Fulham the year you went down?
Not really. Blanked it from memory.
Yeah, I can't get it out of mine. Very similar situation. The two of you went into, I'm pretty sure it was game 4, both on 0 points. And everybody had completely written Fulham off. Not so much yourselves because of what you'd done with Chris Wilder the year before. He didn't play great, and he drew 1-1. You might remember Ademola Lookman scored for Fulham. I think Billy Sharp got a late equaliser from the penalty spot. And I can't shake that game from my mind. And I'm going to go the same. I'm going to bottle this, and I'm going to say 1-1. And I feel like it's not must win for either of you. It feels more like must not lose. Almost feels bigger, I think. And I think, therefore, I'm going to sit on the fence and say draw 1-1. And wish you both the very, very best of luck. Tommo, anything you want to plug before you go?
Nope.
Literally nothing. You don't want to plug your shitty Twitter account or anything, or your shitty X account or nothing, no? No, he doesn't.
I get that.
Fine. Follow Tommo at FPL_Blade. Sean,
thank you.
I mean, people keep trying to impersonate. I've seen like 2 different accounts come up with FPL Blade, so you must be someone important, mate.
I guess.
Sean, anything you want to plug, pal?
So yeah, at Spirit_Blues on the old X app. If you want to see me vent about everything.
Good stuff. You are 2 of the best to follow, especially, can I be honest? Sorry to say this, especially when it's going badly. There's all sorts of blasphemy and stuff. Tommo's a minute-by-minute, play-by-play commentary, mate, when Sheffield United are playing. Love it, mate. Brilliant, guys. Thank you both so much. Very best of luck. Clash of the Correspondents will be back on Tuesday. I've actually got 4 for you during the international break, which includes Southampton Leicester, actually. A bit of a championship correspondence with Matt Samuel and Aaron Lager. But first 3 Premier League Clash of Correspondents during the international break will be Nottingham Forest and Burnley on Tuesday with Mark Subbins and Jack Toner. It's absolutely inevitable now. I've scheduled that Burnley will beat Tottenham on Saturday. Which leaves me to say thank you so much to Tommo, Sean. Good luck this weekend, gents. Cue music, please. Man Shark.